I'm Axel Cushing, Editor-in-Chief at GameLuster, and this is The Score, a weekly digest of news and commentary from GameLuster and around the industry for the week ending October 7th, 2023. It seems like the last several weeks have almost turned this podcast, among other things, into the games industry job obituary section. This week brings more news of layoffs across multiple studios. Naughty Dog announced that they would be laying off some 25 contractors, predominantly from their QA department. More curiously, reports are circulating that Naughty Dog attempted to apply pressure to the affected contractors not to discuss the circumstances surrounding their termination, including the lack of severance pay. Twitch has also laid off an undefined number of customer experience-related personnel, reportedly in an effort to cut costs by shifting over to outsourcers. Indie publisher Team 17 is in the process of laying off what is expected to be 50 workers in the wake of CEO Michael Pattinson leaving the company in what is described as an, quote, amicable parting. Telltale Games, already having laid off a number of staff back in September, is laying off an unspecified number of additional employees due to, quote, current market conditions. Their announcement comes in concert with the assurance that, quote, all projects currently in development are still in production. The same cannot be said for indie developers Dang, creators of first-person shooter Boomerang X, and Puny Human, originally developing Galicide and Blade Symphony. In the case of Dang, they announced on Twitter, quote, unfortunately, we were not able to find funding for our next game, and we are out of money. We're not writing off the possibility of working on some small stuff together in the future, but for now, we're all going our separate ways. Thanks to all the love you've shown us over the years, and thanks for playing Boomerang X. Dang had announced a game called IO Interloper some 6 years ago, but there had been no release window given for it. If they've been looking to get the funds together for that long, it's suggestive that there might have been issues with the project, or possibly with potential investors wanting too much from Dang. Puny Human's woes are far more clear-cut, though an element of murkiness still exists. Having transitioned from indie games to development support on high-profile titles such as The Callisto Protocol and Tribes of Midgard, Puny Human announced that they would be shutting down fully by the end of 2023. CEO Mike Sanders released a statement indicating that the shutdown stems from a lack of cash, more specifically an unnamed client who hasn't been paying Puny Human what they're owed. In the statement, Sanders wrote, taking Puny Human from a full-time staff of 20 hardworking individuals in 2023 to zero is heartbreaking and difficult to reveal to our communities, advocates, and friends. Unfortunately, a client refused previously agreed upon payments, which deprived us of the cash flow to fully pitch our in-progress title and triggered successive failures in our operating income. I take full responsibility for not sufficiently preparing for this outcome. If major studios are stiffing their development partners, the games industry might be in a lot worse shape than what we've been led to believe. In a related vein, Hato Moa, developer of avian-themed visual novel Hatoful Boyfriend, stated on Twitter that Epic Games has not paid out royalties for the game since Epic's acquisition of Mediatonic back in 2021. Mediatonic was one of the many sections of Epic Games hit by the massive layoffs at the company which recently occurred. In the wake of those layoffs, while expressing his condolences for those laid off, Moa mentioned he hadn't been paid the royalties he was owed. Mediatonic, along with Devolver Digital, helped remake the game for an international audience in 2014. Moa states that the mobile and PlayStation versions of the game were pulled after Epic bought up Mediatonic, though the game was still available through Steam. While Moa indicated he wouldn't be filing suit over the matter, Epic Games did respond, stating they'd be looking into the issue and getting back to him. Still not a great look for Epic, but far better than the unnamed company who seems to have screwed over Puny Human. Rounding out the dismal job news, a group of 7 former BioWare employees are suing the studio over what they contend is insufficient severance pay. Back in August, BioWare laid off 50 employees, claiming it was due to, quote, the studio's changing needs. According to labor laws in Alberta, Canada, such a termination without cause would be eligible for at least 1 month of severance pay for each year worked, plus full value of all benefits included. The ex-employees state in their filing that the amount BioWare offered them was significantly less than that. They further state that BioWare refused to increase the amount after some of the individuals in question attempted to discuss the matter with the studio. The ex-employees are requesting the severance pay they are owed under the law, along with punitive damages for unreasonable poor treatment by BioWare. There's been no response from BioWare on this matter, and any likely response would be along the lines of, we do not comment on pending litigation. Frankly, very little BioWare does at this point surprises me any longer. But this issue is very likely going to have at least some impact on the reception of the upcoming Dragon Age Dreadwolf. In the wake of their massive layoff, Epic Games appears to be making some unexpected moves. The first is a change in how industries outside of game development will be able to use Unreal Engine. In a presentation at Unreal Fest 2023, CEO Tim Sweeney indicated that starting next year, non-game developers would be shifted over to a seat-based enterprise software licensing model. Sweeney indicated that the licensing model would be similar to that found in Maya and Photoshop, and that it wouldn't be, quote, unusually expensive or inexpensive. The second move involves a newly announced partnership with the International Age Rating Coalition to rate all islands and other content published through Fortnite's creative mode. Ratings will go from E for everyone to a maximum of teen starting November 14th. Creators can use an IARC created questionnaire, which will be available on the Creator Portal on October 16th, to help them obtain the correct rating. Creators who choose not to use the questionnaire and keep their islands unrated will find those works delisted come mid-November. ESRB President and current IARC Chairperson Patricia Vance said in a statement, quote, "By implementing the IARC rating system within Fortnite, Epic continues to elevate its commitment to providing families with tools to make informed decisions about which experiences are appropriate for their children. As Fortnite evolves from its Battle Royale roots into a broader ecosystem containing a variety of content from Epic and other creators, it's especially important that parents have a clear understanding of what their children want to access. I get that Epic is trying to find novel ways of making money, but these decisions are a Mozambique drill aimed at their own feet and kneecaps. If Sweeney was serious, he'd have taken a close look at the level of customer satisfaction with Photoshop that Adobe has endured the last several years and recoiled in horror. There are a lot of infuriated artists out there who deeply resent the way Adobe has hampered their workflow with draconian restrictions and a lack of tool flexibility, which was previously enjoyed before Photoshop became a cloud-based subscription service. And if Epic pulls the same stunt for small outfits such as architectural visualization consultants and amateur animators, they're not going to be thanked, no matter how temporary the cash crunch is. As for the partnership with IARC, all I can say there is that Sweeney has managed to not only reinforce the stereotype that video games are purely a juvenile pursuit, but very likely set back his own efforts to make Fortnite into something more broadly accessible in his quest to create a metaverse paradigm. Without the opportunity to create mature content, Fortnite will remain just a kid's game. Yeah, you won't have obviously offensive creations, but neither will you have genuinely thoughtful and moving creations like The Last of Us or Ghost of Tsushima. The opportunity to make those creations, good or bad, successful or not, is now out of reach. The kids of today will be the adults of tomorrow, and they're going to want something which reflects their tastes at every stage of their life, not just the ones the ESRB thinks are family-friendly. The internet evolved in a very messy fashion. There was a lot of search engines, there were a lot of company web pages, and let's face it, there was a lot of porn. Heck, Avenue Q dedicated an entire song to that fact. I can understand wanting to have some control over what your children view, what they see on the internet, what they read on the internet, what they find out about on the internet. But this artificial distinction of a rating system, the idea that you can somehow moderate and curate the internet in its entirety, particularly in environments which are intended to be interactive, is not how you make the metaverse happen, if it's ever actually going to happen. Myself, I think the entire concept is ridiculous, but if Tim Sweeney is hell-bent on trying to make it happen, he should at least do so effectively. And that means not merely an understanding, but an acknowledgement that there is going to be adult content out there, that there's going to be violence, there's going to be blood, there's going to be drugs, and yes, there's going to be sex. You can either roll with it, or you can try to strangle it at birth. And you know what? The second option is not going to work. It hasn't worked before, it isn't working now, and it's not going to work tomorrow. And I'm not saying that everything needs to be all about the sex and the violence, but let's not try to infantilize an entire potential creative medium in the name of the children. Finally this week, I wanted to take a moment to express my deep and abiding thanks to the entire GameLuster staff, from our editors to our staff writers down to our freelancers, and yes, even our owner and admin, Moises Garza. These folks are working very hard. They don't always hit the target. We've had a few articles here and there that are maybe not up to snuff, but at the same time, we've also had a lot of very good pieces, not just in long-form writing and even news reports, but in our videos and in our podcasts. These people work very hard for what they do, and I don't think that they get nearly the recognition they deserve, either personally or professionally. We're not IGN, we're not Kotaku, thank God. We're just a small media outlet. I'd like us to get bigger. I'd like us to be spoken of in the same breath as IGN and Giant Freaking Robot and all the other big boys, if not even more reverently. But that's not going to happen right this instant. So since we're not going to be getting much of any credit from the internet as a whole, at least not yet, I would like to take this opportunity to pause and to say thank you for all of my colleagues who helped make GameLuster what I feel to be one of the best game sites on the internet. Probably the best game site on the internet you've never read. From the bottom of my heart, thank you very much. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please like and subscribe. No, seriously, like and subscribe. This helps us tremendously. You can find other news articles along with guides, reviews, and features on our website, GameLuster.com. The opening music for the score was written and performed by Nirav Gandhi. I'm Axel Cushing, Editor-in-Chief at GameLuster, and this has been The Score. Thank you for listening.